What's going on, guys? Oh my, Godzilla back here with some very exciting Godzilla figure reviews for you. Today, first things first, we are taking a look at from Playmates Toys, Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. We have Godzilla vs. Shimo in the 4-piece Diorama set with exclusive painted figures, guys. This set's pretty darn cool. Definitely a good one for Playmates in their kind of style sets like this. Definitely enjoying Godzilla and Shimo together. Guys, without further ado, let's jump right in.
Oh my god!
Quickly jumping back in time to when these figures were still in their box. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the packaging. Obviously, we do have Godzilla and Shimo right there on the top. Kind of can't really see any of the effect pieces. They're all kind of tucked back in there, but we do have really cool images of Godzilla. Looks like he's got, he's in his evolved state. He's got some, maybe some electricity or something even in there. And then Shimo is looking great. He looks pretty intimidating. He just looks like he just radiates freezing ice power from every inch of his body. Take a look at the side of the packaging, the back of the packaging. It doesn't say what we include in the set. There's the side of the packaging there. Top and the bottom does tease that other set, but also, guys, more importantly, screenshot that barcode, take that picture to your Walmarts, and they can scan it with their devices, guys, and tell you if this set is in stock, when it's coming in. They can give you all the details on that. Because without further ado, let's get back to the figures. Alrighty, guys, we're back here with our figures. First things first, let's go ahead and take a quick peek at just the Diorama set. This one was pretty darn easy to build, especially compared to like that Hollow Earth playset we had. So these are just a couple little ice crystals, just single-sided. Pretty cool, pretty easy to put together. But ultimately, you know, just kind of little extra fluff stuff to make the set worth buying there. And then we get into these other pieces here, which is a two-piece kind of bone thing that they can find. It's just a carcass, basically. I'm wondering if we're going to ever figure out what this thing came from, because obviously if Godzilla can stand in his rib cage, this guy was massive. So who is he? What happened to him? Will we ever find out? Who knows? But definitely a pretty cool piece, just again, single-sided, nothing on the backs there. So just kind of a cool little diorama piece to give you. But ultimately, these guys don't really do much for me because I don't have enough room in my collection to be like displaying huge setups like this. Like every Playmate set, I put the figures in the collection, and then the sets just kind of go elsewhere. I don't toss them out or anything, but I definitely don't display them with the figures. Alrighty, guys, and jumping into the figures themselves, first things first, I don't know how these figures really would size to each other. We haven't seen Shimo really in anything anyways, just in toys. So we haven't seen him in trailers or anything, haven't seen him in anything. There's rumors that maybe Scar King will ride him, which makes me think maybe this is an acceptable size. I have no idea. But anyways, I don't really ever judge the sizing of the figures too much anyways. So let's just jump into kind of paint detail on the usual goodies. Let's go ahead and start with our Evolved Godzilla. So obviously, very, very thin. Godzilla has been hitting the gym. He has lost a ton of weight. He's got much bigger arms, much stronger looking legs. Obviously, he's got bigger and more colorful dorsal plates. Tail with much more melee weaponry. I actually really like this. He's got these things which actually were colored, are supposed to be colored. They're supposed to be the same color as the spines. And even on the packaging of this figure, they are colored. But on the figure themselves, they are not. This figure does include a blue kind of hued paint on his front, as we've seen with kind of the Playmates sets before. This is going to feature a different paint job than the standard figure, which we will compare to here in a little bit. But guys, this Atomic Blast piece, Heat Ray, whatever you want to call it, does be, you can remove it. I do really like what they did with the shape of this. You know, it's got kind of pieces coming out the sides, and then the shape and color is really cool. Definitely kind of a very aggressive blast. So I definitely like what they did with this. Nice translucent material. So that's cool. We're going to go ahead and set it aside. It does just have that little piece, and then the hole in Godzilla's mouth just kind of plugs right in. But taking a better look at this figure, guys, we do have some pretty okay paint and detail. Obviously, just kind of the Playmates usual. But let's go ahead and take a better look. Starting with the feet, toe claws are painted pretty well. Legs are texturized and detailed pretty okay. Paint's fine, you know, just another Playmates special. We do have a couple different colors of blue. Again, that's the exclusive to the set. Like I already pointed out, this guy was not painted. Should be, but it is not. But just kind of, you know, basic detail along the back. No paint really in there. Hand claws are painted fine. Not really any detail. It's a little bit of texture on the insides, but the claws themselves are painted pretty well. They're pretty dull looking, but they are painted accurately, so I'll at least have to give them that. Moving kind of into the face and neck and whatnot, the neck detail is actually pretty decent, you know, between these kind of scales moving down. It's not too bad. Teeth, obviously, are pretty lackadaisical, just kind of whatever. We do have a painted tongue in there. No detail on the inside of the mouth. The eyes kind of leave a lot to be desired. There's the front look. Not terrible, but pretty derpy. Moving into the spines, this is something I don't love, but it seems to happen all the freaking time, is where you have, you know, different, where the spines kind of change color and texture and whatnot. So obviously the head, we kind of have just a darkly lit, faintly painted couple of spines. And then we move into these gorgeous translucent, pinkish spines, whatever color you'd like to call them. I think these look pretty nice. Good representation of the figure, nice translucent, really cool looking shape. And then we get back into the tail. Tail was a separate piece, so we did have to attach that. But we get into the tail, and it's just kind of boring, it dulls it down again. The detail looks good. The spines actually look pretty solid. Texture on these guys looks good. Even and the detail on the rest of these spines, I don't have much to complain about there. And I do really like his big melee weapon spines. I hope we see him use these pretty aggressively in the movie as a weapon. But I just don't like when they change it. Like, had they done the whole figure top to bottom in this nice stuff, this would just elevate the heck out of this figure. Do have some detail on the bottom of the tail, and that's going to kind of round out Godzilla. Just taking a quick peek at him. Let's take a look at his articulation. So starting with the feet, we do actually get 360 right out of the ankle. So an interesting place to include articulation. The legs, we don't get 360 because they're going to cut right here. And then in terms of the back, they do catch again, but we get a good range of motion out of those legs. Tail's obviously going to be 360, and then pretty decent side to side, up and down. It's there. The tail was a separate piece you had to snap on. Godzilla's tail went pretty easy. Shimo's, not so much. I did have to hit Shimo's with the hair dryer to it for a second, but then after that it was very easy. Arms will go 360 on Godzilla. Head, it's pretty tight. I don't like you get a little bit out of it, but it's tight enough that I don't want to mess with it. And then we do get some of that mouth articulation, guys. So that will kind of round out Godzilla. Let's get jumping into Shimo. Very interested to take a look at this guy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Shimo, or I assume it's Shimo because it ends in an O, but Shimu feels better to say, but whatever. Here he is, the Ice Titan himself, said to be able to freeze opponents in battle. I think we actually might see Godzilla and this guy face off early in the movie, and Godzilla might actually lose that fight and get frozen in the ice, and that might be where he is when he evolves and powers up, and then he will come out bigger and badder than before, making Shimo regret not finishing the job. Just a theory, who knows? But anyways, we do have that Frostbite Blast. I think that's a pretty cool name. Pretty similar to the Godzilla heat rate, but I do appreciate that it's a different, it is different. They didn't just copy, paste, and change the color. So that is nice. We do have those kind of side pieces. Again, it just plugs right into the top of his mouth. But a nice blue texturized, detail is fine. It looks pretty good. I don't hate this at all. Moving into the figure, though, guys. Here he is, Shimo himself. An interesting design, controversial. I've seen a lot of people love it. I've seen a lot of people hate it. I'm still figuring it out. I don't hate it. I'm not a mega fan, but I do not by any means hate this figure. Starting with some detail and whatnot. Starting with those hands and feet. Obviously, no real paint on those toe claws. So, and again, like I said, we haven't seen Shimo really at all. The only time we've seen him live action-y is in the picture on this packaging. You can't see his hands. So we don't know really, if he's just kind of all straight white, how good of a paint job this truly is. But we do have those Hollow Earth colors coming throughout here. Decent texture and detail on the arms, though, and the legs. The body gets a little boring. There is a little bit going on, texture, detail-wise, but not a ton. The bottom of his belly has pretty okay texture on there. The neck and head look pretty good. I like these little details they put in here. The top of the head looks pretty good. I like the icy little crystals on his back. Those are cool. Eyes are real small, real tiny eyes. There's the front look, moving around. Mouth opens ridiculously wide for no reason. But we do have a little bit of detail. Little tongue. Teeth look really small. They almost look better than Godzilla's because you actually tell their teeth. It's just kind of like a bland white strip. But that's about it. Tail looks pretty good. I like this little fork, prong action. Pretty cool. This tail, like I said, was a bit of a pain to get on there. Took me a second with the hair dryer. Had to loosen that up a tiny bit, but no big deal. And now it's on there. Very small tail. I wonder if that's pretty accurate to the movie or what? Because Godzilla's tail's huge. He gave him a long tail. So I'm wondering if this guy's just going to have a pretty stumpy little tail or if this figure is just small. But there's kind of our detail. Let's check out the articulation of Shimo. So articulation-wise, guys, starting down here, we do get that ankle articulation on the front hands. Do we get it on the back feet, though? Yes, we do. So we do have, that's 4 parts of articulation right there. And then these arms are actually articulated really cool. So they spin 360 really easily. But they also are on ball joints. So they can come out. Which almost leads me to wonder, his front legs are pretty darn small, but I wonder if he ever would come into a standing pose. You can actually get him to stand. That's cool. So he can stand on those back 2 legs a little bit if you kind of use him as a counterbalance there. But it's just a cool piece of articulation to add, giving him that ball joint. Normally, I just expect the kind of up and down, but we do get that ball joint action. And then nothing kind of in the torso at all. Head does go 360, does go up and down. So that's cool. That's really cool. Pretty posable figure, all things considered. And then, like we already said, that mouth weirdly opens really huge. Tail, I guess, is obviously going to be, you know, good range of motion because, you know, it's just a ball joint. Stick it on there yourself. So there's our articulation. Not too shabby from Playmates on the articulation. And you can kind of, you know, it's cool because you can kind of, I just like the posability of this guy. It's not too bad. Reaching out for that high five there. High five in his buddy Scar King. Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and size these figures up with some other Playmates. Alrighty, so the first figure I have him compared to is the Kong with that beast glove. New release figure as well. Godzilla and Kong, they look fine height-wise. Godzilla, you know, maybe should be a little taller unless Kong's grown. I don't know. So there's your Kong against Shimo. Height-wise, there you have it. And our first look at Scar King sized to these two figures. I would have expected him actually to be a little bit bigger than Godzilla. So I kind of assume these Playmate sizings are not going to be overly accurate. But, you know, in the case of the rumor, you know, Scar King's legs don't move quite well enough to truly ride Shimo. But there's that sizing with that new Scar King figure. This is going to be that sizing with our Hollow Earth playset Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong. So, honestly, this guy might even be taller than the new Godzilla. But there it is for reference. And just for the fun of it, Playmates Mecha Godzilla. There's that sizing. Mechagodzilla's going to be taller than both of them, very obviously. And the last couple comparisons I wanted to go ahead and make with these two figures. Bandai Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong. Hiya Toys Godzilla. Going to tower over those guys pretty significantly. And this is our SH Monster. It's Godzilla 2021. So let's go ahead and give you guys a sense for these figures. They just kind of scale with the 6-inch figures in general. And lastly, guys, comparing these two figures to their regular counterparts, starting with Godzilla. So obviously we have the Diorama Set one over here on the right-hand side. Really the only difference is going to be that blue paint. You see that blue paint on his chest, his arms. The standard version is just not going to have that. Other than that, same piece, same tail, same everything, same translucent problem, same non-painted arm spike. It's going to be basically the same figure. I just wanted to give you guys a quick peek at the differences. The atomic breath effect is exactly the same there as those two figures. And Shimo's going to be pretty darn similar with those differences. A little bit more action going on here with him. More blue on the arms, legs. Not present on the standard figure. There's kind of the underside of the figure, so lots of blues on this entire belly of this figure. Not present on the regular. One thing I do like, though, on the regular figure is they didn't do this blue ice tip kind of on the top. So that translucentness of those head spikes and the body spikes really does pop. Looks pretty darn cool, if you ask me. So I actually like parts of the traditional figure better. He gets a little bland just because he's so white, so much, just no color on anything except for the spines. But I do like the spines a little bit better on the standard figure. Alrighty, guys, that about does it for the Playmates set. This is the first figure I've reviewed for the new movie from the Playmates, but we have a ton more. We got the Godzilla, or we got the Kong and Scar King set. We got the 4 standard figures that we have. We got the giant figures. We got the masks. We got the minis. So, guys, let me know in the comments below what you want me to do next. I will likely do the Scar King and Kong set, but if everyone wants something different, we will go ahead and start with that. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this figure set in the comments section below. What do you think of Godzilla's new look? What do you think of the new Titan, Shimo? Guys, super excited to hear all of your opinions on everything. Hope you guys can track down these sets. They are fun. Happy hunting. Use that barcode I showed you earlier in the video. Let me know your thoughts on this figure set in the comment section below. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more. We'll see you in the next one.